Welcome to the Power of Design podcast, where we have inspiring conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate, so we can understand the dynamics and trends that shape an exciting and powerful built environment. This is your host, Jack Osa. In this episode of the Power of Design podcast, I have a different format for you guys. I will be having two guests, and I would love to know your feedback if you guys think this is something that is interesting and would like to hear more about the format. I'm talking to two very special people. They're two local architects who I admire and respect, and I wanted to talk to them because we have a lot in common as a small firm architects. We talk about business, we talk about design, and what are the challenges and benefits of owning your own design firm. One of them is Jes Sanders, who does residential and commercial architecture, and the other one is Toby, who specializes in modern sustainable architecture. I had a lot of fun with them, and I look forward to hear your comments. Thank you. Toby, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
Great. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
And Jes, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Excited.
I'm very excited to have you guys here. I'd like to start by asking you a question, and both of you want you to answer. I know you both are experienced architects, and I admire and respect you both. And I know that as a business owners, we share similar challenges. And before we talk about what those challenges are, I would like to know, what do you think is the single best and most rewarding aspect of owning and running your own design firm?
All right. What's the best thing about it? I think the best thing about it is to be able to lead my projects into the right direction. I have a certain affinity to what I do, a certain sort of knack or direction about what I do, and running my own business allows me to really make sure I bring that to my clients and filter it in the right way and deliver that, and can be focused like that.
So driving your own bus.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Nothing better than that.
That's right.
It's just awesome.
How about you, Jes?
Yeah, I'd say the same. Maybe the diversity of responsibilities and tasks that you get to explore. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's also tough, as I'm sure you guys know. But doing the sales, doing the design. If you see an avenue you want to chase, if you want to do a podcast, you just do it. And driving your own bus it's definitely rewarding for sure.
Yeah, I like the aspect of doing many things. One of the things that I know now, looking back, it was frustrating to me when I used to work for somebody else, was you usually are confined to certain tasks, and you only do that. And then if you want to try to do something else, they kind of let you because they're nice, but don't go too far because they're quickly to roll you in. But doing, the selling, if you want to do a rendering, if you want to experiment, if you want to me, it's the ability to test your own ideas. And you bear all the responsibility of the success or the failure of your ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's really, the crazy thing about it is that it really fills out the day so positively because, I really walk away every day thinking that there was not a minute that I didn't enjoy, not a minute wasted. It all was, just rich.
Yeah, it feels good. Sometimes I'm like, man, I can't believe I do this for a living.
Right.
It's just, I enjoy it a lot. Cool. I would like to know a little bit about you guys. Where are you from? Maybe a quick overview of your career and what you are today. How about we start with Toby?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a small town outside of Hamburg, Germany, and can't get rid of my accent. I've been here for 20 years.
Yeah, Monica doesn't have an accent. Yeah. Monica Nisbach.
Yeah. When I try to do a southern accent, I just get my face slapped. But I grew up in Germany, and I met my wife, who's US from the US when I was an exchange student in high school. So we are high school sweethearts, and we lived in Germany for a while together. And I started in the construction industry there, working first grunt labor in construction companies, and then did an apprenticeship as a draftsman in the biggest construction development design firm company in Germany back then. And that company was all over the board. They did infrastructure projects, architecture projects, all kind of stuff. And so it was an apprenticeship, 3 years, worked there, learned to craft, and then followed my wife here, studied at UNCC in Charlotte, and got stuck here. And a friend of mine and I started a company right out of the gates. We were still in school here at university, architecture school, and formed our company as we exited. And was design build, did that for 15 years or so, and then started my current company, WitteHaus, 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So you have never worked for somebody else?
Well, in Germany I did.
But not as an architect?
That was as a draftsman. Here in the US I worked while I was studying. I had to pay for my dues. And so I worked in an architecture company here in Charlotte while I was studying, yeah.
Cool. How about you, Jes?
Yeah, so I grew up kind of split between two coasts, San Diego and then the Gulf Coast, and pretty broad cultural difference there. You know, you got the Southern California thing, and then, you know, Southern Texas is more about crawfish boils and things like that, you know, so it's a little different culturally. We moved here in 91, so I've been here long enough. You know, I consider myself a native at this point, and a little bit similar to you, Toby. I was, you know, even in 91, Charlotte was growing, and I was doing framing. You know, I didn't go to school right out of high school. I was framing houses, and then, I mean, it's pretty hard work, you know. And at some point, I said to myself, I might not be the smartest guy, but I'm probably smart enough to draw these things rather than build them, you know. So I went to UNCC as well. I think you and I were maybe a year apart or something, Toby. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah. 2001.
I graduated 2004.
Okay, so you're a little bit behind me. So my first job out of school was with a very high-end custom designer, Harry Schrader, and he's still in town, you know, over on Tryon. Really talented guy. Really enjoyed my time there. And then I made the tour of all the big commercial firms. I did LS3P and, you know, a couple of other firms. And, you know, I had a really great experience, learned a lot. And kind of like you were saying, though, after a while, you feel like there's other avenues you want to explore. Yeah. You know, the problem is you get good at doing something. Like you put together a really good set of construction documents, and then that becomes your highest value to the company. And it's a little bit hard to break out. So I had a great experience, but was ready to spread my wings after a while and jumped out.
So when was that?
Yes. That awesome. We're 5.5 years ago. I think we're heading into our 6th year now. Nice. Yeah.
So tell me about your farm. What type of projects do you do? What kind of clients do you work with?
Yeah, I think the tagline is custom commercial architecture. So it's kind of a broad range, you know. I mean, you know, like if you were at a big firm and you got, let's say, a 300 key hotel, how many guys would be working on that?
One.
Like one guy. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I say that to say that my bandwidth is like anything from like 4,000 to like 100,000. Sure. I'm pretty comfortable with, you know. Oh yeah. And after that, I've got some strategic alliances. You know, I put up my hand and say, hey, let's do a joint venture or something. You know, a big project. But yeah, my favorite is out of the ground, custom, you know, commercial when we can get it.
Cool. Yeah. How about you, Toby? What kind of projects and clients do you work with?
Yeah, I do exclusively modern, energy efficient homes, and so I design and build as well. On the build side, I do spec houses where I buy a property and infill properties here in Charlotte and design a house to it, build it, and sell it. Those are on around $500,000-$600,000, and then for clients that have a budget above that, 700 up, million and up, I do custom design work for them, and then work with another builder to do that.
Interesting. Yeah. What's your process to acquire new clients? Marketing, business development.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing. So I finally understood that essentially I need to go on a podcast here with you, Jack, because the idea is really that if not every single person in this greater region who is interested in modern homes doesn't know about me, I'm doing something wrong.
Right.
And so my task is to figure out how am I out there? And so, a lot of it is obviously social media, the internet website, and then another portion is meeting people. In my head, I call it outreach.
Yeah.
Basically, those parts are the mainstay for me for people finding me, really.
How do you do it, Jes? How do you engage new clients, let people know what you do?
Yeah. I want to come back to Toby, though, because I think there's a little more to his story. I know a little bit about his sales process, and it's actually kind of fascinating. But, for me, I'm trying to be out there as much on the social media as I can, and, I'm trying to let the work speak for itself, which maybe is a little bit naive. I'm not sure. But also just getting in front of builders and developers.
Yeah.
It sounds so cliche, but you ask anybody, it's about relationships.
Sure.
And it's a human connection. At the end of the day, you work with people that like and trust.
That's right.
And kind of to Toby's point, if they don't know you, they can't like or trust you. But then also really just trying to have that brand out there on the social media, and reinforcing it with that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is interesting because, when we're designers, architects, we have a certain way to think and solve problems that, create designs. And I think that for some reason that is not very aligned with, sales, marketing, branding, because to me, that's the biggest roadblock. You will think that you start your business and if you're good at what you do and love it, oh my God, everybody want to do business with me and I'll be inundated.
Yeah.
But, I've been in business 4 years and I haven't found that yet. I'm still like, man, I need more clients. I need to do something. Yeah. So you need to start to develop and understand, what's a sales process.
Yeah.
Sales process. How do people make decisions? How do I sell myself better? And really getting understanding that, because that's the fuel of the business. Mm-hmm. You really see it that in my side, I've been trying to, every time I see that I lack something, I'm like, okay, I need to get educated. So I listen to books, listen to podcasts, audiobooks, read things. And I got very in love with branding, marketing, sales. When I kind of understood the process, I was like, oh my God, this thing is mind-blowing.
Yes.
And there are certain things that when you don't get in it, you don't really understand, which is the difference between branding, marketing, and sales.
Yes.
They're completely different stages. In our mind, it sounds the same. It's like when people talk about branding and they think branding is a logo.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's graphic identity.
Right.
That's not that. So when you get to, what's branding, which is a story about what you do, and then the act of marketing, which are all the things that are telling that story when you're not there, and then sales, which is the act of talking to somebody when you're there and you're kind of, making them understand exactly what you bring to the marketplace, and that, convert to the other side.
Exactly. And and then you have to see all of that, of course, from your clients or potential clients' side, right? And see what is it that they need for them to move to where they would hire you, right? And it's, in my case, these are big endeavors for people, right? It's their home. They put a lot of money into it. It's the future of their family. It means a lot to them. And it used to be where, I thought, okay, my shingle is out there. they should come to me and sign a contract because I'm the greatest designer in
Right.
the world.
That's right.
It's easy as that. Not realizing that somebody told me it's like having a cup of coffee with somebody, and then the very next thing you propose to them for marriage.
Sure.
And it should be, a dating process. Like you said, Jess, you have to have that trust. And so you have to be able to, for that branding, to say, well, Jack, you're the person that I like to be here for what my problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, your marketing, you show up all of a sudden.
Right.
In my face. Jack is here.
Yeah.
And then, the sale is for you to say, hey, Toby, I got something for you. Yeah, let's work together.
Yeah. How do you structure those steps or phases in your business, Jess? Or where or focus are you on organizing that dance with prospects?
Organizing that dance? Well, I told you at the beginning, my favorite thing is about being a solopreneur is wearing all the hats, but it's also a challenge sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to draw the plans, but then, you've got to be out marketing as well, so, yeah, I'm just trying to meet as many people as possible, really, and put my brand out there, like I said, and just network, I don't think I've got quite as, I like Toby's model. He has a wide net, but then he's got all these automations built in that I think also filter some people out, right? Until you get to just the right client. I've actually taken a page from his book, and I've got some preliminary questionnaires on my website. Mm-hmm. So they can give us data about their prospective project before we even engage. Sure. So then I have a bio of what they're trying to do before we even start the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I provide a lot of, in the same system, I provide a lot of upfront information for my clients. And so they're full of questions, obviously. What does it cost? How long does it take? What are the steps? I've never done this before. How do I finance this? And a lot of that information I am able to sort of provide upfront, automated, give them all the information they need. What is it, why even go through this? What is the richness that you walk away with at the end of the day?
Yeah, and what you're doing, what you're doing when you're doing that is you're adding value to them.
Yes.
Before they're engaging with you.
Yeah.
So they're already feeling that because they're like, wow, there's so much value here. This is information I need. Yeah. And I think the cool thing for us to be in business right now, at this moment in time where you have, social media, you have access to all these platforms that are basically free, is that we have a megaphone that we can use for free to tell our story.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. You're just telling people, keep in mind these things. So when you're making your decisions, you do this, you do that. And that's how you start separating yourself from your competitors.
Yeah.
Because now they're putting you in a different place in their mind, because this is the person who has, the knowledge, the understanding, and is also willing to give it for free. Yeah. So by nature, what do we want to do when somebody gives us things for free? We want to give back, right? Exactly. When somebody pays for your lunch, what do you say? Yeah. I'll pay next time. Right?
Right? Yeah.
So it's human nature. And one of the strategies I use for my social media is that I try to make sure that any piece of my content does one of three things: teach, entertain, or inspire.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to get. When you interact with somebody that takes you to that rhythm all the time, you enjoy being around that person. Right?
Exactly.
I agree. I send out a newsletter, probably once or twice a quarter. And I try to always put something in there that's actually almost like a news article, that's actually useful information. We all get a lot of newsletters, right?
Yeah.
And they're great. Yeah. Here's our coolest project. Here's our new hire. Yeah. We had a Christmas party, and it's cool. But I always try to put something in there that the reader wouldn't know, and it's actually useful news.
Yeah.
Like the one I'm about to put out now is all about the light rail. And all the the bond referendums coming with it, the timeline. Try to give some useful information with the newsletter.
And I think that actually adds one more thing to what you said, Jack. Which is to serve, really, to give to people. It's mind-boggling to me, so after a quarter century of doing this, that there has been, I developed a certain set of understanding and knowledge and just sort of in-depth, understanding that comes with ease. It's second nature now. What's a big question? It's easy. Put some 2x4s together and you're done, right? A couple of lines on the drawing and on the paper, and there's a drawing. And the disconnect that I have with the potential clients of mine, right, is that I can give them so much of all of that up front, just trying to sort of, here's how my world looks like and the richness that is in there for you to have and partake. Here it is. And this is we getting started after that. This is just the basis. I mean, just give it away and inspire, like you said, and have them have it.
Yeah, well, I always say that people don't buy products or services; they buy experiences.
Yeah,
they buy how you make them feel.
Yep.
So they don't really care about what you know and how much detail it takes to do that. No. They just want to get what they want.
Yeah.
How do you take them there? That's not their problem. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're so passionate about what we do that we want to share everything and we want to explain and show things, but we don't realize we're not looking at the process through their eyes.
Yeah,
we're looking at through our own eyes, which is the very nature of living within our own mind and just explaining things through our own point of view.
And that making that or that switch or that looking at it like you do, I think allows you to reach the client in a way that they're really asking to be reached. Because, okay, so you're an architect, fine. I have a vague idea of what you do, but here is why you're sitting here with me. This is my project here.
Yeah.
And I have something about it. It's going to be important for my business. It's important for my future, for my family, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Here's the set of values that I'm bringing to the table. And I like to see that you're excited about it and fired up, Jack, but tell me the stuff that is important to me. And now that you're sort of looking at it, that when I'm looking at it now, sort of how the sales process is also a process of really getting to where you need to jump off.
Yeah. So let's imagine we have a rich client that is right here in this room,
right,
with a lot of money. And he said, well, I narrowed down my options to 3 architects, Toby, Jes, and Jack.
Hire all of us.
Tell me, why should I hire you?
Oh, man.
Go ahead, Jes.
Oh, man. Pass. Somebody else go, man. Come back to me, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Toby, why should I work with you?
Oh, Lord of mercy. Okay. I'll give it a stamp. Well, because the both of you just suck. That's easy.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm very focused. I design modern houses, have been doing that forever, energy efficient modern houses, and I'm very passionate about it. And my sense about it is that, or to step back, I think that most of us never had the chance to really live in a environment that is truly inspiring, uplifting, and enriching. Most of the built environment around us is just poorly designed, and so I think I have the chance to really provide my clients to look over past the horizon line and ask for more and find that thing that really will bring truly beauty to their life. In my case, it's residential. You wake up in the house, you live there, now more so than ever. And my take is that it better. And if it doesn't enrich your soul every single minute of the day, then what's the purpose of engaging?
Perfect.
So
Jes, you're the client. What do you think about that pitch?
Am I buying it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can look around. I can see that there's not a lot of high design. So, and maybe I'm your client looking for that touch. Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. From my point of view, what I will do is I will ask a lot of questions. Yeah. I wouldn't talk about me or my business, because it's not my project; it's their project.
Yep.
It's their money. So I will say, hey, I'm going to be very responsible with your money. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to listen to your needs. Please tell me what this project is about. What are your priorities? And I'm gonna make sure that I contribute to those goals. So you see, I got the project, dude.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think too, man. You know, any educator, you know, our job is to demystify, you know, and especially on the residential side, but also I think it's true on the commercial side. I mean, constructing a building there are a lot of moving parts, and it's an overwhelming. Yeah. I mean, and we're not even talking about zoning, historic districts, flood, goodness. You know, the things that don't even enter the consumer's headspace at all. And I think there's two things that are really helpful. You can put together a team early on and go in as a team, you know, you got your builder right there. You've got, you know, maybe if there's engineers involved or whatever. And then walking them through the process, you know, and helping them know each milestone. Like you said, asking a lot of questions. Repeating back what you heard, you know, that this is what I'm hearing from you. These are your goals, kind of clarifying the goals, and just demystifying that process. Okay, there's a thing we call it schematic design, you know, and then there's design development, and then we have to submit for permit, you know, and just helping them navigate that and, you know, get their budgets and everything in order. I think it goes a long ways in earning trust.
You know, that's a really good appreciation, because, you know, sometimes I realize, you know, you finish a project and you're like, oh my God, the amount of work I have put together to make this happen, you know, engineering, you know, all the things you mentioned, that's a lot. And sometimes that's where I kind of rethink, what is the value of what we do expected in society, right? Yeah. And I don't know when or how, and I'm pretty sure somewhere there is an explanation that we architects as profession started devaluing our work and just giving away for free a lot of information and expertise that others haven't done. And it's not even our fault. Yeah. You know, when you see that somebody, there are many projects that I get asked a fee and I see somebody else and I'm like, give it to them. Yeah. Because they're doing the same thing for very low cost. There is no way they're going to make money, but it's very common that the architect does not appreciate and defend the value they bring to society.
Yeah, I agree. I had a project recently just wrapped up. It was kind of a WeWork type space. And, you know, those types of spaces are 90% just space planning. You know, let's get the kind of square offices and get the square cubicles. You know, it's just a space planning thing. There wasn't a lot of opportunity for architecture, right? Like a real design. And there's design and laying out a good plan and stuff. There's, you know, it has to work well. But I said, look, this one entry element, this is my space, man. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to do something fun for me right here. And now that space, of course, is the cover of all the marketing material, nice. You know, because that's where the signature is. And what I'm getting at is the value of design. Yes, sure. You know, it might have been hard to sell that, like, you know, but once it's there, they can appreciate. I mean, you know, you don't buy a Picasso by the square foot. Yeah, sure. You know, but that's how there's a commodity mindset, I think, a lot in design. So
exactly. And I think, I mean, that's the hardest thing to struggle with, right? Is sort of what is the value beyond the work that you do, right?
Right.
And good quality, planning, all these problems that you have to work through, the engineering that goes into it, everything. That's sort of par for the course, right? And you have to do it well. You have to listen to your client. You have to meet the budget, all of that. But that's par for the course, right? And now the value comes. What is that beyond that? The value of design, Jack, right? Yeah. It's very important. And what is that? And can you sort of bring that fire into out of your clients, that they say, no, this is going to be it. This is going to make my life better, my business better, whatever that is. Yeah. That they really know that, okay. I mean, I don't care how much it costs. I need this, right? And truthfully.
Well, but you know, good design doesn't always have to. It does sometimes cost more, but it doesn't always have to be. You know, I can make it all this way or this way, and if it's done smartly, it's going to improve the space. Right. And you know, so it's not always a huge cost increase. Is all I'm saying.
We'll be right back with more from the Power of Design podcast.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
And the other thing, and that's why I created the podcast, we are just one player in a team, because we're not building the space. I mean, your design could be amazing. Your drawings, perfect. But if you have a builder that is cutting corners, all your value got destroyed by somebody else. So when I created the podcast, I call it the Power of Design, which is the intersection of design, construction, and real estate. Because we need all those three players to make things happen. First of all, you need money somewhere to pay for the project. And that money originates with lawyers, with loans, with loan officers. There are bankers. There are a lot of people that they do a lot of work in order to generate the capital just to make the project. And then we come to the table with our teams, engineers, a lot of people that they don't have the expertise we have, and we don't have the one that they have, but we need to play along pretty well because they're creating parts of the building that we are in charge of. And then you get the contractor, which is key. So playing along very well with everybody is, probably more than half of our work, right? When you need to make sure that all those things are coordinated. So when I started the podcast, I thought about, I don't want a podcast for architects. I can have architects because I'm in the same team, but I want to talk to all the players. So I talk to contractors, engineers, brokers, property managers, anybody that is in charge of that, because at the end of the day, our clients get the end result of how that team plays together.
And that's why that's why I got a general contractor's license too, and enjoy the construction part of what I do, because it does helps me bring so much closer to all of those parts. And so now that when I have just a custom design work coming to me, that I understand all the pieces, because I've been through it. I had to finance this, I had to sell it, I had to talk to appraisers, all of the bits and pieces in there, every last distributor and subcontractor, and what their issues are, what their expertise is, all of that, what it goes in there. Now it's easier to manage that and navigate through that. And the clients are asking you for that. Help me, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about technology. One of the most exciting things for me about what we do, and I really think technology has been a big part of giving me the ability to have my own business, is,
totally.
BIM, Revit, all those things.
Sure.
So I can go in there, generate drawings fast, VR, 3D printing, all these things available. Tell me about, what kind of software technologies do you use? How do you engage your clients with that?
I use a lot of services for communication, really. One is for planning, and the other one is to reach out to my clients, to automate a lot of the communication with my clients. I figured that I should spend my time on the things that I enjoy most and do best, and outsource or automate the rest. And so I use in-house Monday.com for planning, project planning and sales planning, and I use I'm about to hire somebody, so I set up Slack to communicate on each project. I use Google Workspace for all of my file saving and backing up with another third party backing up. I use automated printing services and MailChimp to tie in emails and printing of materials through my website, Squarespace website, all of these kind of services and online services.
Nice. Did you do your own website?
Yeah, through Squarespace.
Yeah, looks really good, man.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, not as good as yours. Yours is sleek.
That's right.
It better be branding.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
How about you, Jes? Tell me about technology in your practice.
No, I mean, you guys said it totally. I mean, the leverage of all the software and the apps that we have nowadays, have totally allowed us to. I mean, I don't have a server. I have Google Drive. And it works great. My weapon of choice is Revit, of course, and then I use Lumion for all my renderings. And but I mean, it's not just the renderings they're very pretty. They're very ooh and ah, and they sell the project, but they're really a useful tool. The visualization is actually a very very powerful tool. Like, just as an example, I had a site in Myers Park, and it was an incredibly tight site, and they wanted to excavate and put a garage under this house. And the contours and the specifics of the site were incredibly challenging, and because we're able to model it in 3D, we can really see specifically, realistically, the impacts of this, this built thing and excavating that, and the coordination is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing. There are things that when I do those things, they like VR.
Yeah.
Typically, I don't know if you guys had this experience, but in the past, when I worked for somebody else, people love sketches that look like hand drawing, hand sketch, right? So when I created like a more final computer-like sketch, they're like, no, we need to show the client this more sketchy because they're going to think it's the final. And I kind of understood a little bit their thinking, but I never really share it. I was never convinced. I was like, no, man, if we have the tools, why not?
Let's make it perfect. Yeah.
Right. So right now what I'm doing, and I know it's a gamble, it's, I have a client, I have an idea, and my first idea, I commit 100%. I'm like, okay, this is my design, and I'll make the rendering as best as
so you
best
go
as I can.
Full photorealistic.
I go full. I take the full risk.
Yeah.
They love it or they hate it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to God, so far they all love it.
Right.
Because what I'm realizing is just in basic communication, visual communication. Once they see something that is fully
realized,
thought of, somebody took the time to think about everything. Like, their brain just gets, like 100 messages at the same time. They're like, oh my God, I love it. And if I'm sure that if it was presented, same design, different way, their brain had not engaged it that way.
Do you think they would look at it and say, well, this is a sketch, so he's not fully committed, so maybe we can change this and change that and start giving design input?
No, what I'm realizing is that they love it so much that now they become defenders and lawyers of that design.
Right.
Now, you cannot touch it. It needs to be exactly like that.
Yeah.
So that's been interesting because I've been trying it, and I know it's a gamble. They could hate it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be, I'm trying to develop my own style and my own thinking, and I like, the clients being part of the process and helping generate the solution. But sometimes they just want to be surprised, and they want to, and I have shown things that is completely different to what they had in mind. And they're like, oh man, you took us to a place that we didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. That's interesting because I still take him through the process. So I still, at the beginning of a design, it's for me pencil on paper. And I think through the pencil, and, it's big ideas first, and try making these things, make that puzzle work somehow.
Yeah.
And I clean it up. But I do share that with my clients and take them each process until the 3D rendering happens.
Yeah.
So that I get to talk with them about, the problems that I'm going through. Big things first, smaller things later.
Sure.
And then, ta-da, this is why now it is so beautiful as this 3D rendering is showing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's interesting because, so I take them through the process, and for me, it seems to have been working well and works with my process and works with the communication with them. And they get invested very similarly. That it's like, okay, don't take it away. We love it. Don't make any changes.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that we have that power now to leverage it, where we can do the model and do a photorealistic rendering
It's
in
mind-blowing,
SD,
man. It's mind-blowing.
and it's really some good looking stuff. Right?
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool. So I'd like to know from you guys, how do you see, yourself and your practice in the next 5-10 years? Tell me the most wildest picture of your dream realized. Go ahead.
So I have big plans and big hopes. I really want to grow the company, hire people, and put more work out there. And I'm realizing Charlotte is just a fantastic place to do that right now for what I'm doing. It seems like the entire country is moving to Charlotte.
The population of Greensboro is going to increase in Charlotte in the next 10 years.
That's crazy.
So take the whole town and just
crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And so there's plenty of work there for me, and they all bring in. There's no modern houses around here in Charlotte, and so they're looking at me, and I can provide it. And I'm realizing that there is a great market for me to tap in, and I have to provide. And so my struggle now is to figure out, okay, so how do I make sure they all know about me, and then build the company behind it to provide that, so that I can, bring more people on board. We can do more projects and move forward. So it's all written out, all sketched out. Now it just has to happen.
Man, you have the plan ready, and you're very talented, man.
Oh,
what I know what you're offering is really amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
How about you, Jes?
Yeah. So the year before last, with basically a one-man shop, we did about 200,000 square feet. So I figure if I had 5 more people, or if we had 5 people, we do 1 million square feet, right? That's the way the math works, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I just want to keep growing. I want to. I'd like to get up to about 5, and then the next couple of years, 5 people. And I'm really looking to make some repeat client relationships, where we don't have to train each other, how to get along. We get the system down, get our engineers in place, get our whole team, and just do repeat business and just get really efficient. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the last, 6 months, I've been finding my firm competing with very large firms with, I know I may not get the project, but I'm so happy and excited. Like, dude, you put me in that category. Yeah. Dude, I already feel like I won. Like, if you believe this can happen, that I could make that happen, man, that's amazing. And that's all branding, it's the perception, because they haven't done work with me or with us. So
good thing that you're also providing. I mean, your work is
hopefully.
So,
right.
So, that's one of the things I'm very focused on. That I don't know if you guys feel the same, but starting your own business and being your own boss and having a small team, what sometimes is you, sometimes you find help. I feel very lonely because there are many things I think through marketing ideas, business development, and I have really nobody to share these ideas with. I can share it with you guys informally.
We're here for you, man.
I'll share it with my wife.
How much time do you have?
But there is nobody like with the stakes in the business that you can share it with.
Yes.
So it's very hard because you feel like you're trying your best, but how do you double check and do that? And those are things that this year, and I was telling Toby before we started the podcast, I'm starting to get more engaged with, the community, learning about, managing money, which I know I'm not the best at, what are my weaknesses. But there is a big community out there where we can help each other.
Yes.
And I think there are many people like us that are out there. We're all kind of like trying to do our best and, growing at a certain rate that might not be what we wanted. But if we somehow can structure a way to be more, collaborative.
Yes.
Whether it's just sharing knowledge or working together, whatever it is. I think we all can benefit that we can grow at a faster rate that we wanted to do.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have come out to a couple of little shindigs I put together, for the architecture, engineering, design, construction community. And that's the whole purpose, man. It's just community.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have any sales or education or anything. It's just purely for community, so we can have these ideas, the exchange of ideas. But also, like, I've tried to put together a couple of peer groups, like CEO groups, because I think you're right. We get really busy. You're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
We get in our little bubble, here at, in the office. And it's hard to take time to get out and have that exchange of ideas. And even, I would say, accountability too.
Yes.
Sure.
Hey, bro, last time we met,
Yeah.
you said you were going to get a marketing package.
That's huge.
Right.
Did you get that marketing package done? No, But how do we get out of, we need to connect more. I totally agree.
Man,
we gotta get out of our
accountability
shells.
to me will be huge because, I make my plans and then I forget about them and I choose to ignore my deadlines. And
I don't believe that.
I love myself, so I'm very nice. But man, that's huge. The accountability part when you can say, you know what, where's your
The question
deadline?
then becomes, do we make it all architects or do we cross-pollinate with people from totally different disciplines?
Definitely.
We get a banker, we get a lawyer,
Yes.
we get a whatever, so that there's somebody that's outside of our bubble. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I read and try to make the kind of decision you're talking about is, outside of our industry. And and so I think it's really enriching. And, Jesse have been doing just a phenomenal job getting people together. It's everybody I talk to, knows about you. It's crazy. But
unfortunately, the next event is on the 29th, and dry January doesn't end until Tuesday, so that's a problem.
Hey,
please continue.
Who planned that?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
good. So you guys are both very focused on what you do, and I really respect that decision you guys made to start your own business and committed to design. What do you guys think about the future of design and construction? We hear a lot about technologies like 3D printing and VR and driverless cars and all these things.
it's coming.
What do you think the future of design is going to be for us?
Yeah, I think we're going to have our heads turned around. I think it's going to be exciting couple decades ahead where we have big changes coming our way. It seems like every other industry is being turned around, looked at from a different aspect, and we can do this differently. This is really what somebody needs. This is how we need to put different things next to each other, different services, different industries. And so I think that, we'll find ourselves be anything but architects or builders or realtors or whatever it is in our industry. I think we're going to be learning and growing and seeing our world from different eyes and sort of approaching it from different directions to meet what's going to be asked from us.
One thing on the design side that I see coming. I mean, you can't overstate the value of BIM and Revit over the past decade, but that's kind of done. And I agree, something's coming, man. The parametric design, which I don't know if you guys have heard this, you had Colin Brock on a few weeks ago.
Sure.
Right? And I was kind of surprised he didn't mention this. The very first time I met Colin, he was showcasing this software he had to the firm I was at the time. And, site design, I remember working at LS3P as a young designer, designing mall layouts and all these it would take weeks of some intern drawing parking spaces and drainage. It was brutal, right? And he had this program where he would make building blocks and move them around the site. And like, oh no, you know what? We want that to face north, and he would rotate it, and it would totally reorient the site, totally reorient the parking, work out the topography on the fly.
Yeah.
Through this parametric design. And then I was looking at another program called Space Maker. And, you can go look at the site. It's not the future. This is right now, and this thing takes blocks of multifamily. For all your multifamily fans out there, developer fans. And I mean, you can put in, okay, what's your pro forma? I need 16 units at, 1,200 square feet or whatever. And I need this many at 2,000 square feet. And it builds the mass on the site for you. And it looks at it all these different ways, and, so all I'm saying is the design process, I think, has become incredibly more automated.
Yes.
Which is an incredible tool to leverage. but I also wonder if there's not some design fallout from that.
Well,
how do we, we already said it's a commodity driven industry, unfortunately. So how do we evangelize the value of design when something is, they push a button, man,
And I think that's going to be the benefit, right? Because, or I add another one to it. I was just talking to somebody, as an intern, it was my job to do as-is drawing. So you spend hours at a site and you measure every last inch and put it in a drawing. And now you put a little machine there on the table and it scans it, spits the drawing out in minutes. And so I think what all of that means is that now that lag work is no longer asked from us. What is going to be asked from us, what is truly important, and the true value that we can bring to the table. And so now we're going to be freed to actually do that. I think so, yeah. I hope so.
There's another thing I'm seeing coming. I think it was a year or two ago, I did an interview, and there's two companies in Charlotte right now. They're buying robotics to construct, to do residential construction, right? Multifamily construction, right? So think about Detroit, right? And the car lines, right? They have these robotic arms that are building modules in a factory. And this is not science fiction either. There's one up on Brookshire Boulevard being developed right now. So one end of the line is a roll of light gauge metal, like a roll of paper. It folds it into these studs that are exactly, one is 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it slides into the other one. And at the other end of the line is a module. Like, here's bathroom A, here's bathroom B. And then they just ship the modules out to the site and assemble them. Maybe the plumbing drops are all worked out, but there's very few humans involved in the process, is what I'm saying. I don't know how that's going to impact the whole industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When I think about the future of architecture, the first question I ask myself, what is architecture?
Yeah.
And in my own definition, I don't think architecture it's a building. And a building is just an object in space.
Sure.
To me, architecture is a human brain perception of space. So it's experience. It's a human experience of a space. And to me, that human experience take different shapes. Like, we're talking about maybe going to other planets and creating that human experience of a space there, or even VR technology. What if when you're born, you get VR and it's experience in your brain for your whole life, and the architecture is that experience of life in that world. So the way we do architecture is still very physical because, probably the first architecture was, a rock with another rock on top. So you protect from rain. And we do the same, but we just have some modern materials, but it's this very simple blocks and planes, one on top of each other. And we try to make it nice and everything. But I think the experience of a space in our brain could take many different shapes or forms, where the role of the architect is not create the objects, is to create the experience.
But isn't it the same? I mean, that's like a Venturi thing, right? Not to get too architecture, but he talked all about this inside and outside. It's architecture is both, right? It's a space, and then it's also the object that we create. And anyway, I'm picking up on what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, it's all about that experience. And so, I mean, so even the coil that goes through the machine and pumps out a bathroom, it has to be done right. It has a potential to be done right. And so that it's the only bathroom I ever going to visit ever again. I'm not even going to leave it ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my last question to each of you is, how does the power of design impact who you are and what you do?
Yes. Well, for me, it's the creativity of it, right? That I get to, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I think that human experience has a lot of facets to it. And the central part, that's what you talked about, Jack, how we experience ourselves in a space, in the physical surrounding, has a huge impact of how we feel about ourselves, how we think about our life, the value of our life. And for me to be involved in it and bring the creativity out there, it's like, plugging in a real way that is just, goosebumps galore.
That's right, man. I know what you're talking about. How about you, Jes? How does the power of design impact who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the best experiences too is when you see a client, because the client has a fuzzy notion of an experience and a look and something in their head, and they can't quite find the notes. And we can see it because we look at this stuff all day long. We draw a line, we understand that space, and then the studs start going up, and the drywall starts going in, and they still don't see it. And then one day, oh my God, the client gets it, and they're like, "Oh, this is great! Look at that view. Look at this living, whatever it is, And that's a very gratifying thing to see something that was purely in your imagination. It became a rendering and then become a built space. I mean, it's a special experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Toby and Jes, I really admire and respect what you guys are doing. I know it takes a lot of courage to take that step. There's a lot of people in the corporate world who dream about doing what you guys are doing. They think about it every day and they're scared, but you guys did it, man, and that's a huge flag to wave, and I really hope to be helpful and give you guys any help I can to be part of your success. And I know you guys are gonna do amazing things, not only for this city but for your families and for your own benefit.
Thank you, Jack. Same to you. Same exact words. Perfect.
Yeah, very gracious.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This is great.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Find out more about Jack and Osa Studio at osastudio.com. and follow us on Instagram at The Power of Design Podcast. Thank you.